Jimmy, why don't you start us off with this?
So sticking with the NBA, like you said, a lot of interesting action, a lot of interesting storylines over the weekend with the NBA, particularly in Brooklyn, where we had a beatdown in Brooklyn when the Los Angeles Lakers, minus their two best players, went into Brooklyn and destroyed the Nets to everyone's surprise, 126-101. Yes, the Nets didn't have James Harden, but they had their other two stars in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. But it was something. It was a game unlike we've seen the Lakers play this year, even when they had LeBron James and when they had Anthony Davis. So I know that you got to watch a lot of this. I did as well. When something like this happens, such an unexpected victory, especially with a team like this, a defending champ, who's had a rocky season because of injuries to their two best players, this has to mean something. So after you watch this, first of all, how were they able to go in there and do this against one of the best teams in the East, a team that many people have picked to win the NBA Finals?
It's a very good question, Jimmy. I'm glad that you asked me that.
I did.
So first and foremost, you said people were surprised. I wasn't. We had this discussion about the games that we thought that the Lakers were going to win and lose.
Did you pick this game?
And I picked the Lakers to win this game.
No
not
way.
Because I thought we'll pull the tapes, but not because
you picked this game?
not because I just think that the Nets are inferior. I just feel like these are the type of games that the Nets lose. They lose those random games to teams that they should not lose to. Remember, the Cavaliers gave it to them when they were full strength twice.
Oh, yeah.
So this is not an uncommon thing, and so there's no surprise here because they're without Anthony Davis. They're out LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
So this team is kind of like just a smorgasbord of just randoms. Perfect example. Andre Drummond just now is really getting his bearings with the team, so this is not that big of a surprise. So I'm going to say that first off. Secondly, your second question in regards to this, does this really mean anything? Nah, not really. I do think that it is a big deal that they did win without anybody, but at the same time, like I mentioned, they beat the Cavaliers beat the Nets twice, and like I said, Brooklyn have a tendency of losing the games that they shouldn't win. But this did tell me something. Taylor Horton Tucker, that dude's gonna get paid. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to pay him because coming out there, he put up 14 points and 11 assists, even though he shot like crap at 4 for 16, and he was 2 for 5 from 3.
So they started him.
Yes, he started. And he looked like he belonged there. He looked comfortable. Defensively, he looked like he was out there. Dennis Schroeder got deep into the skin of Kyrie Irving to the point of getting themselves both ejected, which I'm kind of surprised that Dennis got ejected
Have
too.
you heard the story why?
Oh, no, I know exactly why.
Okay.
I watched it. I did the lip sync, and I read Schroeder's lips, and I saw exactly why Kyrie Irving got upset. We'll address that a little bit later.
Okay.
I don't think that's a place for here, but I'd say in the third segment we will talk about it.
Sure.
But Schroeder getting into Kyrie's grill from jump, you saw the intensity. Like he was picking him up at like 94 feet. As soon as that he put up the shot at the beginning of the game, next thing you know, he pulled up his shorts. He was right there ready for him. He's just right there in his grill. And Schroeder, he's got that maggot. That gnat annoying. You get that more gnat
like
annoying.
gnat.
That it's just gnat up in your mosquito buzzing, just irritating type game. And that's not a bad thing. You need those players that can work up a guy and throw him out of his game in order to be successful. In which he did that with Kyrie. Basically got him ejected. And at that point, the Lakers went on that big old run. Third quarter, 31-19, and just ate. And then of course, all the supporting cast kicked in. So Taylor Horton Tucker is going to get paid. Andre Drummond, welcome to L.A. You showed out at 20 and 11 with a double-double as well. And Schroeder is really showing his value. What did you get from this game?
Well, in terms of explaining why it happened this way, which was a surprise, I'll say to 99% of us. You're a 1%er on this. 25% of it was a fluke because the Lakers from 3 shot 55%. Which is something they don't do. They're not a bad three-point shooting team, but nobody's a 55% three-point shooting team. And they were 50% from the field, which that may be more closer to what they actually can do from game to game. But I think they even struggle with that as well. So that's 25% fluky. The other side of that is I could tell they were locked in from the tip. There was something about this game. that created an edge in them. They really wanted it more than any other game I've seen. And the reason why this means something to them but doesn't mean anything to the Nets, because to the Nets, like you said, it's just a random game, no big deal. We didn't have James Harden. They'll figure out a way to explain it away. Kevin Durant's on a minutes restriction. Kyrie got ejected in, the third quarter? Something like that. But for the Lakers, it shows you part of the formula to beat the Nets, and this is what you were talking about. That is that they can out-physical them at any point in the game if they want to, especially with Andre Drummond. So like you talked about, Schroeder picking up Kyrie 94 feet, that's what that is. That makes a statement. That's physical, getting in the grill of the point guard from the jump. So that's what they proved to themselves, that if we get through the West and they get through the East, if we meet this team, we're going to have to turn it. We're going to grind them to dirt. We're going to get as physical with them, as more physical than we were tonight. That's exactly what we can do to beat this team, because Kyrie, with that, he'll crack. James Harden in the playoffs, he cracks. Kevin Durant,
he don't crack.
Yeah,
he don't crack, but his body
he might crack. Yes,
physically, he's at that point right now. Yeah,
LaMarcus Aldridge, physically, he'll crack. Blake Griffin, physically, he'll crack. DeAndre Jordan, I don't even know if he played in this game. I believe he did not play in this game.
Coach's decision as well.
But he's an older player. So all they have to do if they meet this team is out physical them, and that's what this game showed. And I will say this about the Lakers too, because this may be the beginning of them figuring out how to play without Anthony Davis and LeBron. Because you recall, this is the third version of this team. First version was when they had LeBron and Anthony Davis. They were the Lakers. Then you lose Anthony Davis, you do some losing, then you start to figure out how to play without him. Then as you're doing that, LeBron James goes down. So now you lose some more games, but this may be the turning point in showing the team how they have to play and what lineups work in order to win without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So to me, if that's the case, that's not only the players, but that's a hell of a coaching job.
I'll say that that's one. I was going to actually give some props to Vogel for his coaching ability in this game. He's going against a rookie coach in Steve Nash, who's still trying to, get into the groove of managing a bunch of stars. Here's the thing that the Lakers did to me that jumps out the most as I look at this box score. You can't judge a game fully by the box score, but the box score does give you some components. I always use it as a tool, not the tool box. So here's the hammer. You ready? Their bench had 3 guys in double figures. Ben McLemore dropped 17 points, 6 of 12 from the field, 5 of 10 from 3.
Off the streets.
This is the reason why this is the hammer. The Lakers went after players that were going to play the role and be components to the team. This is why their pickups are different than what other teams did in the buyout market. Everybody goes after stars in the buyout market. They go after who they feel like is going to help. Joe Johnson's infamous for being picked up in the buyout market. You've seen this with plenty of players just going to try to chase that championship. The Lakers went after the guy that made the most sense for their system. Andre Drummond is everything they have ever needed at the big man role. Anthony Davis doesn't like playing the 5. He's better at the 5. He doesn't like playing the 5. And it feels like he overcompensates when he goes to the 5 because he hates it so much. Andre Drummond feels that need when it comes to the rebounding and the scoring in the paint. The way he bodied LaMarcus Aldridge and then told him that he was too small was everything you needed to know about what this man is planning on doing moving forward.
Right.
Ben McLemore coming off the streets, putting up 17 and shooting 50% from the field and from 3. Even while Montrezl Harrell was 4 for 10 and Talen Horton-Tucker struggled at 4 for 16. They had a whole bunch of players pick up the slack. And that's what you need to win a championship. You need to be able to go deep into your rotation if you have to. Now, this doesn't mean that they're going to win the championship yet, but this does give them an edge that other teams, to me, do not have. They've got depth now.
And I think if they end up winning the championship, we'll look back on this game and on this moment, because I look for this in team seasons and even with individual players that divides time between before this and after this. So I'm really curious to see if they're able to carry this forward, because then after this, I think they play the Knicks next.
Tonight.
Aren't a bad team. Okay, tonight. They're not a bad team.
Oh, no, not at all.
But if you go on another losing streak or you have a losing record over your next 4 to 6 games, I think this game may mean a little less than you want it to, but you want this to help propel you forward because, again, we talked about you want to stay out of that play-in game. weird crap can happen. Weird crap happens in sports all the time. So,
Yep.
90% chance you get through it, but still, you never truly know. So they don't want to play in that.